Welcome to the channel, basketball fans, and thank you for joining me today for what might be the most crucial, in-depth discussion we have had all year regarding our national team, Gilas Pilipinas. We have a massive story to unpack today, one that has absolutely set Philippine basketball social media on fire, generating countless headlines, sparking heated debates in barbershops, sports bars, and online forums, and leaving many passionate fans both confused and frustrated. Today, we're going to talk about the intense, swirling controversy surrounding our 7'3" prodigy Kai Sotto, our high-flying forward Jamie Malonzo, and the legendary mastermind himself, Coach Tim Cone. The headlines have been nothing short of explosive. We have seen the words criticized, tablado, and issue done plastered across every sports page and vlog thumbnail over the past few days. The narrative being pushed by some corners of the internet is that key players have turned their backs on flag just as Gilas Pilipinas gears up for the incredibly daunting second window of the 2027 FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers against international heavyweights New Zealand and Australia. The rumors suggest a fractured locker room. The whispers imply that Kai Sotto and Jamie Malonzo have deliberately snubbed the national team. The chatter claims that Coach Tim Cone is facing unprecedented backlash for his roster decisions and his defense of these absent stars. But as we all know, in the world of Philippine basketball, emotion often outruns the facts. Passion, while the greatest strength of the Filipino basketball fan, can sometimes cloud our understanding of the brutal, complex realities of professional sports. Today, we are going to cut through the noise. We are going to completely dismantle these rumors, analyze the hard facts, and put this entirely fabricated controversy to rest. We will dive deep into why Kai Sotto and Jamie Malonzo are not suiting up for this window, why the accusations of them turning their backs on Gilas are not only unfair, but completely disconnected from reality, and how Coach Tim Cone has brilliantly and decisively stepped in to shield his players and declare this issue entirely closed. This is not a time for panic. This is a time for understanding the bigger picture of the Gilas Pilipinas program. Settle in, because we're going to thoroughly examine every single angle of the situation, the tactical adjustments being made, the players stepping up to fill the void, and what this all means for the immediate future of our national team. Let us begin by dissecting the absolute core of this controversy, the absence of Kai Sotto and the intense, unwarranted criticism that has been hurled his way. To understand the gravity of the situation, we must first remind ourselves of what Kai Sotto means to this iteration of Gilas Pilipinas. At 7'3", with a rapidly developing offensive toolkit and an intimidating defensive presence, Kai is the literal and figurative centerpiece of our future on the international stage. When he is on the floor, the entire geometry of the game changes. Opposing guards think twice before driving into the paint. Our perimeter defenders can apply immense pressure, knowing they have a massive safety net behind them. Coach Tim Cone himself has publicly stated that with a healthy Kai Sotto, Gilas Pilipinas has the opportunity to compete with absolutely anybody in the world. That is not just coach speak. That is a tactical reality. So, when the official Samahang Basketballing Pilipinas roster was announced for the crucial games against the Tall Blacks and the Boomers, and Kai Sotto's name was notably absent from the Final 12, the collective gasp from the fan base was audible. Almost immediately, the toxic side of sports fandom reared its ugly head. Comments flooded in accusing Kai of prioritizing his Japan B-League stint over the national team. Words like tablado were thrown around casually, suggesting a betrayal of the national cause. But let us immediately inject some vital reality into this conversation. The truth, the absolute undeniable medical truth, is that Kai Sotto is currently recovering from one of the most devastating injuries a professional athlete can suffer, especially a player of his immense size, a torn anterior cruciate ligament or ACL.
Let us take a moment to truly understand what an ACL tear means. This is not a sprained ankle. This is not a bruised knee. The ACL is the primary stabilizing ligament of the knee joint. When it tears, the knee loses its structural integrity. For a 7'3" human being, the sheer biomechanical force exerted on the knee joints just by running and jumping is astronomical. Kai suffered this injury while playing for the Kashigaya Alphas in Japan late last year, and he had to undergo reconstructive surgery. The standard recovery timeline for a professional athlete returning from ACL surgery is anywhere from 9 to 12 months, and sometimes even longer for big men who carry more weight and require absolute lower body stability to anchor themselves in the post. The fact that fans were expecting Kai to magically suit up for a high-intensity, fiercely physical FIBA qualifying window just weeks or months into his rehabilitation process borders on the absurd. Coach Tim Cohn has been incredibly protective and vocal about this, essentially telling the critics to back off. Cohn understands that forcing a young, generational talent to rush back from a catastrophic knee injury to play in a qualifying window, where Gilas is already in a relatively decent position, would be an act of gross negligence. It could jeopardize Kai's entire career, not just his national team stint. Coach Cohn's philosophy is clear. You do not mess around with an ACL injury. You give the player whatever time he needs to fully, 100% heal. The long-term vision of Gilas Pilipinas for the 2027 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics relies heavily on a fully healthy Kai Sotto. Sacrificing his future for a single window in 2026 is a short-sighted strategy that Coach Cohn flatly refuses to entertain. Therefore, the criticism directed at Kai Sotto is baseless, and Coach Cohn's swift dismissal of these narratives proves that the coaching staff prioritizes player welfare above short-term noise. The issue regarding Kai Sotto being tablato is definitively, completely done. Now, we must seamlessly transition to the second major pillar of this controversy, which revolves around the explosive, dynamic forward, Jamie Malonzo. Much like Sotto, Malonzo's absence from the final roster for this window raised a multitude of eyebrows and set the rumor mill spinning at a dizzying pace. Jamie Malonzo brings a completely unique dimension to Gilas Pilipinas. His elite athleticism, his ability to play above the rim, his defensive versatility, and his sheer energy are assets that are incredibly difficult to replicate. Under Coach Tim Cohn's system, both in Barangay Ginebra and with the national team, Malonzo has thrived, often acting as the chaotic spark plug that ignites the team during stagnant stretches. When it was revealed that Malonzo opted to skip this specific window, the narrative quickly shifted to wild speculation. Was there a falling out with Coach Cohn? Was Malonzo demanding a larger role? Was he, too, turning his back on the program? Again, we must aggressively combat these rumors with grounded, factual analysis. Jamie Malonzo's situation is nuanced, but it is deeply rooted in the grueling realities of a professional basketball player's calendar. Let us look at the sheer volume of basketball these athletes are playing. Between the immensely physical PBA conferences, international club commitments, and the grueling Gilas Pilipinas training camps and tournaments, the wear and tear on the human body is staggering. Malonzo himself has been dealing with lingering physical issues, notably a calf injury that kept him sidelined in the past. Calf injuries are notoriously tricky. They linger, they flare up unexpectedly, and if pushed too hard, they can lead to catastrophic Achilles tendon injuries. While the official statements might simply cite that he opted to skip the window, the underlying reality understood by anyone who follows the game closely is that load management is a critical necessity. Coach Tim Cohn is not just managing a team for one game, he is managing a multi-year program. He has repeatedly emphasized the concept of the 18-man pool. The days of a rigid, unchanging 12-man roster are gone. The modern Gilas program operates on fluidity. If a player is physically compromised, mentally exhausted, or dealing with contractual or personal transitions, such as Malonzo's recent shifts between leagues, they are allowed to step back, recover, and recalibrate without losing their standing in the national team brotherhood. Coach Cohn addressed this directly, and his words should serve as the final nail in the coffin for any controversy. He explicitly stated that no matter who is out for this specific Final 12, they are still very much in the program. This is a monumental shift in the culture of Philippine basketball. In the past, missing a tournament often meant being blacklisted or ostracized by the fans and, sometimes, even the federation. Coach Cohn has eradicated that toxic mindset. He has built a culture of empathy and strategic foresight. By allowing Jamie Malonzo the grace to sit this window out, to get his body right, and to focus on his long-term health, Coach Cohn is ensuring that we will have an explosive, fully energized Jamie Malonzo when the stakes are at their absolute highest in the World Cup itself. The accusations of Malonzo being tablato are a fundamental misunderstanding of how elite sports programs operate today. The issue is done. Coach Cohn has drawn a line in the sand, protecting his players' right to heal and reminding everyone that the Gilas brotherhood extends far beyond the active 12 men on the court on any given night. With the controversies properly dismantled, we must now turn our analytical focus to the brilliant, adaptive mastermind at the helm, Coach Tim Cohn, and how he has navigated these massive frontcourt losses. Missing a 7'3" rim protector and an elite athletic wing would cripple most national teams. But Coach Cohn does not operate in the realm of excuses. He operates in the realm of tactical solutions. The absence of Sotto and Malonzo has forced a fascinating evolution in the Gilas Pilipinas lineup, paving the way for the next generation of big men to step into the incredibly bright, high-pressure spotlight. Enter Quinton Miller-Brown and Justine Baltazar. These are the men tasked with filling the massive void, and their integration into Coach Cohn's famously complex system is the most compelling storyline of this FIBA window. Let us start with Quinton Miller-Brown, affectionately known as QMB. Standing at a sturdy 6'10", QMB brings a different flavor of interior presence compared to Kai Sotto. While he may not have the sheer towering height, QMB possesses incredible fundamental soundness, high basketball IQ, and a relentless motor on the glass. In his initial outings for Gilas during the previous window against Guam, he was a revelation, averaging solid numbers in points and rebounds, but more importantly, executing the defensive coverages perfectly. Initially, there were concerns when he momentarily declined participation, but his eventual commitment was a massive sigh of relief for the coaching staff. Against physically imposing teams like New Zealand and Australia, QMB's ability to hold his ground in the post, set bone-crushing screens, and secure defensive rebounds to trigger the fast break will be absolutely vital. He is not just a replacement. He is a highly capable piece of the puzzle who brings toughness to the paint. Then we have Justine Baltazar, a player whose talent has never been questioned, but whose journey with the national team has been somewhat start and stop. Baltazar, standing at 6'9", is a modern, versatile big man. He has the length to disrupt passing lanes, the agility to switch onto smaller players on the perimeter, and a surprisingly soft touch around the basket. When Coach Cohn tapped Baltazar to join the pool following the depletion of the front line, it was a clear signal that Gilas was prioritizing speed, length, and switchability. Baltazar himself has openly admitted that adjusting to Coach Cohn's system is a steep learning curve. He noted that he is operating at around 80 to 90% comprehension of the system due to the short preparation time. This transparency is refreshing, but it also highlights the immense pressure he is under. The triangle-inspired offensive sets and the precise defensive rotations demanded by Coach Cohn require not just physical ability, but elite cognitive processing on the floor. Baltazar's ability to catch up, to instinctually know where to be, and to execute without hesitation will be a major factor in our ability to compete against the disciplined Oceania powerhouses. Coach Cohn's strategy moving forward is a masterclass in psychological management and tactical flexibility. He has kept the pool relatively lean to prioritize familiarity and chemistry, knowing that a fully integrated, cohesive unit of less heralded players will always outperform a disjointed group of superstars. He relies heavily on the veteran leadership of June Fajardo, who remains the unstoppable force in the middle, and the defensive brilliance of AJ Edu, who himself has battled through numerous injuries to become a cornerstone of the Gilas defense. With Justin Brownlee providing his usual, magical, naturalized firepower, and a backcourt loaded with the steady hands of Chris Newsom, Scotty Thompson, and Dwight Ramos, the team remains incredibly formidable. Coach Cohn's message to the fans and to the media is one of unwavering confidence. They may lack the overwhelming size of Kai Sotto, but they possess speed, immense talent, and a deep-seated fighting spirit. The narrative that Gilas is somehow severely weakened is a narrative that the coaching staff has aggressively rejected. They are not looking for sympathy, they are looking for fight. As we look toward the horizon, the magnitude of the task ahead cannot be overstated. Playing New Zealand and Australia in consecutive games is perhaps the ultimate test of a basketball program's mettle in this region. The Tall Blacks of New Zealand play a brand of basketball that is rugged, physical, and relentlessly disciplined. They crash the boards with reckless abandon and run their offensive sets with military precision. We all remember the shocker in November 2024 when Gilas pulled off an incredible upset against them, a game where Sotto was absolutely instrumental. New Zealand will be entering the Mall of Asia arena with a massive chip on their shoulder, seeking vengeance and looking to reassert their dominance. They know we are missing our giant in the middle, and they will undoubtedly try to exploit the paint, testing the physical resilience of QMB, Baltazar, and Fajardo from the opening tip to the final buzzer. Following that, Gilas must immediately regroup to face the Australian Boomers. Australia is not just an Asian powerhouse. They are a legitimate global titan, consistently ranking among the top teams in the world and boasting a roster deeply infused with NBA and elite European League talent. They execute at a speed and physicality that is often overwhelming. Playing Australia requires near-perfect basketball. It requires minimizing turnovers, hitting open shots at a high percentage, and maintaining an exhaustingly high level of defensive intensity for a full 40 minutes. This is why Coach Cohn's insistence on system familiarity is so crucial. You cannot beat Australia with isolation basketball. You beat them with flawless team execution. But this is exactly where the beauty of the Gilas Pilipinas spirit truly shines. Time and time again, when backed into a corner, when the odds are heavily stacked against them, and when the roster seems depleted, this program finds a way to summon something extraordinary. The absence of Sotto and Jamie Malonzo is not a death knell. It is an opportunity for new heroes to emerge. It is a chance for Quinton Miller-Brown to solidify his status as a national team mainstay. It is an opportunity for Justine Baltazar to fulfill his massive potential on the international stage. It is a moment for the veterans to lead by example, and for the entire team to rally around Coach Tim Cohn's masterful game plan. So, to every Filipino basketball fan watching this, my final message to you is this: drop the negativity. The rumors of players turning their backs, the accusations of being tablado, the unnecessary criticisms of Coach Tim Cohn's roster management, it all needs to stop right here, right now. The issue is done. Coach Cohn has spoken. The medical facts are clear, and the 12 men selected to wear the flag are ready to go to war. National team basketball is a brutal, exhausting, beautiful journey. It requires patience, understanding, and unwavering support, not just when the team is winning with a fully healthy roster, but especially when they are facing adversity and relying on the next man up. Let us fill the Mall of Asia arena with deafening noise. Let us show New Zealand and Australia that they are not just playing a team, they are playing an entire nation that breathes basketball. Trust in Coach Tim Cohn. Trust in the Gilas program. Trust in the players who have sacrificed their bodies and their time to represent the 3 stars and a sun. The road to the 2027 FIBA World Cup is long, and this window is just one chapter in a much larger, epic story. Thank you for staying with me through this extensive deep dive. If you appreciate this level of detailed, factual analysis over the usual rumor-mongering, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know who you think will step up as the X Factor in these upcoming games. Until next time, keep the faith, support our athletes, and Laban Pilipinas.